Ancient Greek philosophers taught their students to learn by asking questions and to observe the world around them. This method of learning still works today. And one advantage we have today over the ancients is that we have thousands of years of history to study. We can learn by observing the past. The history of ancient Greece offers so much to learn from its culture and history, and it's full of cool stories. One way that the ancient Greeks explained their world was through their mythology and religion. The Greeks were polytheistic and believed that the gods lived on Mount Olympus and were very involved with the lives of mortals. They had Zeus, the god of thunder, Hera, the goddess of marriage, women, and family, Poseidon, the god of the sea, Aphrodite, the goddess of love, and many others that we will discuss more in detail in a later video. The ancient Greeks sought help from the gods in all aspects of their life, including their farming, love life, and even in war. Greeks would often seek oracles when they needed advice or help. Oracles were usually women, and the most famous oracle was the Oracle of Delphi at the Temple of Apollo. They built great sculptures and temples for their gods, including the Parthenon. The ruins of this ancient temple to the gods can still be seen today in Athens. The people of ancient Greece loved to honor the gods in sport. They prized physical strength and prowess, especially in Sparta. Representatives of different city-states would come to Olympia, a sacred place in ancient Greek religion, to compete in honor of Zeus. They would compete in different sports such as running, wrestling, boxing, chariot racing, and even a special sport called the pentathlon. The pentathlon had 5 parts: a running race called a stadion, a javelin throw, a discus throw, long jump, and ended with wrestling. Only the very best athletes could compete and win the pentathlon. The winners were given olive wreaths to wear on their heads. This was a symbol of peace. The wreaths were woven from branches cut from a wild olive tree that grew near the temple of Zeus and placed on a gold ivory table in the temple of Hera until they were given to the winners. Only men were allowed to compete. The event was as much a part of their religion as it was for sport. Many oxen were sacrificed during the Olympics to Zeus. A temple was even built at the Olympia site on a mountaintop, and within it was the great statue of Zeus, created by the sculptor Phidias. It became one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Artists and poets would bring their work to the games to display it in what would become a sort of artistic competition. Most of the events were designed to mimic athletic feats that would make a man a better soldier. The Greeks were no strangers to war. They famously fought a long war with the Persians that lasted 50 years. Around 550 BCE, the Persian Empire was massive and controlled a large part of the ancient world. When the Persians conquered the Greek cities of Ionia, the independent free Greeks didn't go down without a fight. The Greeks revolted around 499 BCE, and many of the mainland Greeks, including from Athens, helped the Ionians push the Persians back. The ruler of Persia, named Darius, wanted to conquer all of Greece and stop the revolts, so he sent a huge army to conquer those stubborn Greeks. The conflict raged on with many battles, including famous ones like the Battle of Marathon, where the Greeks delivered a crushing defeat to the Persians. It was a big turning point in the war in favor of the Greeks. One legend from this battle is a man named Phillipedes, who ran all the way from Marathon to Athens after the battle was won to proclaim victory to the Athenian assembly. When he finally got to the assembly, he yelled, "Nike," which is Greek for victory, or we have won. And then he collapsed and died. Luckily, most people don't die from running marathons today. Another famous battle was the Battle of Thermopylae, where a small Greek force of around 1,000 soldiers, including 300 Spartans, blocked an enormous Persian army that numbered possibly in the tens of thousands. But the Greeks defended a small road that led towards Athens to give the people of the cities time to get away safely. They fought for days until they were heroically defeated by the Persians, and the city of Athens was sacked and burned. Although the Greek city-states were governed separately, the war with Persia formed an alliance of many Greek city-states, and this was the first real cohesion of a Greek nation. In the Greco-Persian War, Spartans fought with Athenians instead of against them. Eventually, the allied Greeks drove the Persians out of Greece and Ionia and made a peace agreement with the Persians, ending the war around 450 BCE. This ended the Archaic period and began the Greek Classical period. Most of the information we have about the Greco-Persian War comes from the writings of a single man named Herodatus. He is known to many as the father of history because he carefully studied the events of the war and then he wrote down what he learned. So thanks, Herodotus. Herodotus lived during the Greek Classical period, when many Greeks were studying and learning about the world around them. Philosophy was a major subject of interest, especially in Athens. Many famous philosophers, whose words are still studied today, taught in ancient Greece, including Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. These philosophers are famous for helping people learn how to think about the world around them, about human nature, society, and even happiness. They formed schools to teach people reasoning and philosophy. Socrates taught people to ask questions to learn about the world around them. This is called the Socratic Method. This still works today. Try it out. Ask lots of questions to find out new things and solve problems. Get curious about the world around you. Sadly, the classical period was also a time of war. Sparta and Athens began to fight for total power over Greece in what are called the Peloponnesian Wars. Sparta and Athens fought for 30 years. Eventually, Sparta won and became the dominant force in Greece, but not without a cost. The wars had weakened both Athens and Sparta. Less than a century after the Peloponnesian Wars, an army from a northern part of Greece called Macedonia was able to invade and seize power over much of Greece. The ruler of that army, Philip II, had a very famous son named Alexander. He is known in history as Alexander the Great. Alexander was taught as a boy by Aristotle and grew up learning all about philosophy and warfare. After his father's death, he took over the army, which defeated Sparta, to rule all of Greece. Later, his army went on to conquer Persia and a large part of the rest of the world at the time. The life of Alexander the Great and his military conquest will be the subject of a later video. Thanks for watching to the end. Please hit the subscribe button and like this video to help us out. We hope that learning about the mythology and history of ancient Greece was interesting and that it made you curious. If it did, find some books at the library or use the links below to find out more. You'll be surprised what you find out. See you next time!